house needs painting, grass needs mowing, where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Mossy Oak and Liqua Molly.
Welcome to Off the Water with Hank Parker. I'm your co-host, Sarah Beth, and you
Hello,
are?
Sarah Beth. I'm Hank Parker, and it is so good to be with you this day. And you have been digging around for the last 2 weeks just trying to find all the stuff that irritates me. And it's a topic that is worth discussing, you know. I remember the controversy around microwave ovens, that women are not going to cook anymore, you know, and hey, that's turned out to pretty much be true.
I wouldn't say. I'd say it just added to it.
When's the last time you cooked a big meal?
It's been a while. I haven't had my own kitchen.
It used to be a daily thing before microwave ovens, so that's good, I guess. We all have them, and we all live with them, but cooking for most of these young girls have kind of fallen by the wayside. So things have changed dramatically in the kitchen. Things are changing dramatically on the water. So you've been digging and researching, and the question is, where's the future of fishing? And
Right. Well, I actually have some pretty crazy new developments, some things that are in the works, and they said to keep an eye on companies like Humminbird and Garmin. We're going to start off with underwater drones.
Underwater drones. Now, how is that possible? Tell me about that. Now, I know you've researched all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I have my notes here.
All right. I'm going to just shut up and let you go with it.
All right. So an underwater drone is also called ROVs, so remotely operated vehicles. They're submersible.
Hold on. ROVs.
ROVs. Yep.
And what's that stand for?
Remotely operated vehicles.
Underwater.
Yeah, underwater. They're submersible, camera-equipped devices that anglers and researchers can control from the surface. So it says, think of them like a GoPro plus a remote control boat with sonar all in one.
Now, a remote control boat or a remote control submarine? Are they
basically they can go at the surface or underwater. It's to scout out the terrain, and it literally uses sonar to map out an entire area, and it sends it back to them. So it's like it's an underwater drone.
A unit that you would have on your boat,
right?
And it would go out and show you all the contours, and would it show you live fish?
Yep.
You think?
Yep. That's basically what they're saying. It says it lets you see fish, structure, and water clarity all in real time. So you can deploy this thing from your boat and go and see what's out there. And then it comes back. And then you can see everything.
Lord have mercy knows.
So how that's being used in fishing now is for scouting and structure mapping. So to find brush piles, ledges, underwater grass lines, and bait balls with precision, even in murky water where sonar gets tricky.
Hold on just a second. Now, is that technology available today? You can buy one of those units?
Yeah, I think a lot of them, it says that a lot of them are in like a prototype process, but that's something that will probably be coming to the market within the next few years.
So right this second, a man could not go, or a woman could not go, or a fishing person of any type could not go on the internet and purchase that thing.
No, yeah, they can. There's actually a few. There's a few models out there. So there's 3 that are widely popular. One's called Chasing Dory. So that's like a lot of people that make YouTube videos, like fishing YouTube videos. They'll use them like to film like the fish going after their baits and stuff. Power Vision Power Ray is the second one. It's a mid-tier with fish finder and bait dropper. And then this other one, I don't know how to really pronounce it. It's QYSEA. So I'm assuming QYC 5 Fish V6. It's a high end for serious anglers, 4K video, VR headset compatible. So do you know what VR is? It's virtual reality. So imagine like when people put the headsets on and you can see like in real time, like you put this headset on and it's like you're in the water, like you are the robot, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
so
it don't make sense, but I'm following you.
There's a lot in it.
Makes sense, but I'm with you on all of it.
Well, there's a lot of so like some of the controversies and concerns that people have already started to see with these devices, or like the fairness. So some pros argue that it's the new forward-facing sonar arms race. So it says giving wealthy anglers another tool that the average guy can't afford because they are ridiculously expensive. Which, I mean, mind you, that's 90% of any sonar equipment. I feel like it's all in that same realm of just being expensive in general. Legal issues, so certain lakes or tournaments restrict ROV use. So this is already, there's been people that have been trying to use them in tournaments.
Oh, my soul.
Yeah, and then spook factor too. So like in shallow water, drones can scare fish if not maneuvered gently.
Now, does any of this relate back to artificial intelligence? I mean, is that where it's going?
It probably will. I can guarantee you that it will. What I can see in the future for seeing being a thing are these AI controlled, like little ROVs that kind of go out and map and then tell you where to go.
Well, let's back up just a second. This whole thing is it's pretty crazy to a guy that's been fishing for 50 years, and none of this technology was even remotely thought of. You know, we watched James Bond movies in the 70s, and now all the things that they had on the James Bond 007 movies are primitive compared to what's out there today, and we just couldn't visualize any of that happening. But we never thought about all that for technology coming to the fishing world. So here we are. But let's just stop and say, we all as anglers, always every time we go fishing, we think, boy, I'd like to have this. Or if I would have had that, I could have maybe caught another fish or two. Boy, I wish I had a lure that would come through that hydrilla without hanging up. And so the snagless frog kind of came on the scene. And lures have developed out of need. And then trolling motors have been developed out of need. Man, I wish I had more thrust, more pound thrust. I wish I had a weedless prop that would allow me to fish Lake Okeechobee or wherever I am that has aquatic vegetation and go through that vegetation. So you develop all this technology, and then the spot lock idea for the troll motor came along, and how cool is that? I can push a button and the boat will stay right where I'm at. And now that is just, I mean, you got to have it. And so things, we all try to make things better, to be more efficient, and to catch more fish. And of course, golf. You know, you look at golf, people are developing these big club heads with shafts that give them more speed and more flex and more load and drive the golf ball further. Oh, yeah. Everybody wants to be better. Mm-hmm. And so you keep working, developing lures, line, rods, reels, trolling motors, electronic equipment, depth finders, we always call them. It's far beyond a depth finder now. You know, we still call a handheld phone a phone, but it's not a phone. I mean, that's just one of the features of 5,000 things they'll do. They're computers that you talk on. But we still call them a phone, so I still call them a depth finder. So I'm a little bit primitive. But nevertheless, we always want better. We want to better ourselves, and so we want to catch more fish. So it's only natural that we keep advancing. But I'm overwhelmed with all the advancements. I'm overwhelmed with all the technology.
Oh, just wait till this next one is going to get you.
Oh, it's just all this artificial intelligence stuff. It bothers me because how are you going to know in the future as they get more and more sophisticated and refined with this technology what's real and what's not real?
Well, what's crazy is that there's already been multiple, I mean, especially over the past few years, AI has just, boom, skyrocketed. There are people that are using AI, so some platforms like ChatGPT, for therapy. Like, they are talking to this thing like it is a human being, and it's responding and giving advice, and it would blow your mind. Like, if I actually sat down and put ChatGPT right in front of you and let you have a conversation with it, you'd be mind blown. It can tell you anything that you want to know.
Years ago, the Stadford Wives, what was it? Where they were programmed. They were just perfect wives, and they were all programmed with a computer.
That's basically, there was a guy that was interviewed. He was in a relationship and married his AI. Yeah. So I mean that's just a real thing. So I mean, people say that there's pros out of that lonely people get the type of recognition or that type of connection that they need. But I feel like that's scary. It's scary.
Merle Haggard, the late great Merle Haggard, who has passed on but had some incredible songs and just was an awesome voice and entertainer. He had a song that said, "Are the good times really over for good?"
Yeah.
And so we're rolling downhill like a snowball headed for Hades.
Well, I think, people become so dependent on, and ChatGPT can be a great source. I use it. It's helpful to help make captions or to like come up and brainstorm. It's really good for businesses to help use to kind of like reflect back or for design reasons. But, there's a line there. People are making like chat bots where you can just talk to, like, it's wild. It's wild. And I think that's crossing a line personally. Whenever it gets into your personal life, I'm not taking advice from an artificial intelligence robot. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe good advice. I don't like all this, and I don't. But hey, who am I? You go ahead and let's go.
Right. And
then I'm going to circle back when we get through with all this technology. I'm going to circle back and give you my philosophy on where we need to go, what it's all about, and I've got my opinion, and that's what it is. Everybody's got one. I'm going to express mine since I got a little soapbox here on this this podcast that I can reflect, but I think I can represent a lot of people and bring a point or two that has some value. So go ahead and let's see what else is coming down the track.
All right, so this would be the future of fishing maps, augmented reality. So what's happening is augmented reality, so AR, blends digital overlays with real-world visuals. So with like heads-up display, so HUDs, in glasses or on screens. So imagine you have a pair of sunglasses.
Now, what is AR?
AR is augmented reality. So that's like, it's a version of like VR. So I'm going to set you the scene. So let's say you have a pair of sunglasses and you put them on. You can see the real world, but it's also displaying an overlay screen of mapping. You can look down into a lake and see the structure. You can see what's there, like the brush piles just from your sunglasses. So you can see everything in the lake as far as like structure and topography goes.
And that's called AR?
AR, yep, AR, and it's heads-up display, so it's in glasses or screens. So, you can pick your poison there.
Put it on your screen, or you can put it on
your sunglasses.
You can wear a pair of sunglasses.
So what's coming? AR glasses with HUD. So imagine seeing drop-offs, fish arches, or contour lines floating over the water as you scan them with your eyes. Prototypes exist from companies like Magic Leap, Apple Vision Pro, and X-Reel being tested with marine tech. 3D mapping holograms. So Navionics, Hummingbird, and Lawrence are already creating live updating contour maps. So pair that data with AR and you could walk a lake from your living room. You could literally, you put on this headset or whatever it is, and you can literally put yourself there. And why your face is saying it all.
Let me hide my expressions.
The third one, too, it says casting precision. AR tech could soon show you how to cast here overlays for brush piles or fish targets. So tie-ins with sonar like Hummingbird Mega Live. It could give real-time ghost trail tracking of where a bass just moved. So if you have these sunglasses on, right, and it can literally show you, it's like you got a screen on your eyes. Like you can see, it'll tell you, cast here, a bass just moved. Or like it'll show you. So you'll know, oh, okay, I can cast right there and catch a bass because the bass was just there. So it is literally telling you how to fish.
Wow.
So companies to watch. So this is some of the companies that are getting involved in this tech. So obviously Garmin, Lawrence, Hummingbird. They have active 3D sonar and detailed maps that are ready to merge with AR HUDs. So Navionics, crowdsourced mapping that will feed future AR layers. Simrad and Raymarine, big players in saltwater who are developing next-gen overlays for AR-enabled displays. So some people say some of the real-world use cases is like night fishing navigation, so visual shorelines overlays to avoid hazards. So people that are out night fishing, if they have these HUDs, they can see ahead when they can't really see in real life. So it could be useful. Tournament efficiency. So no more looking down at your screens. Your data is right where your eyes are. So they're in these glasses. Training tools. So teach rookies how to read maps and sonar in real time by layering instructions visually. I know. Isn't that insane?
Well, I don't know where you go and what to say. I mean, it is overwhelming, obviously, to a finite mind like mine to visualize all this crazy technology. But at the same time, it's frustrating to go and you got a lake full of fish and you can't figure out how to catch one. So you're always trying to improve, come up with a new lure, new method, new technique, new fishing spot, and figure out how to catch them. And sometimes you don't catch them. So all the times you don't catch them, the wheels in your mind are rolling. I fished last week. It was a terribly hot day, about 106 or 7 degree heat index. Mm-hmm. And my intention was to go out there and fish early and find some from underwater grass is what I was looking for. And I won't mention what lake I was on.
No comment.
I'm going to keep that very, very,
Very secret.
quiet that there's grass in Lake Murray. So don't say that out loud because the Corps of Engineers will try to go down and spray and kill all the aquatic vegetation because the homeowners don't like it. And they'll kill all the fish and kill all the vegetation. So I'm very much against spraying aquatic vegetation. But so we're going to keep it quiet. But that was my goal, was to go find some underwater grass. And I fished. My goal was to be off the water by noon because literally the heat index was 106 that day. It was 97 degree air temperature, and it was very high humidity. It was miserable. So I fished, and I got so intrigued with what was going on the underwater structure, and I was not able to catch these fish. I was frustrated, and I was intrigued all at once. So I ended up staying till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had died from a heat stroke, but I drank like 20 bottles of water. But nevertheless, I did not catch them. So when you don't catch them, your mind just doesn't stop when you leave the water. Your mind's constantly, could I have had? What kind of presentation? What kind of lure? What kind of electronic equipment could I have that I would have been more effective on catching these fish? On and on and on. So you're constantly trying to figure out how to skin the cat. I mean, that it never stops, and we're all like that. Every time we go fishing, we want to catch them, and when we don't catch them, we try to analyze why we didn't catch them and what we could have done differently. And that goes back before I ever started fishing tournaments. I would be just as frustrated when I was 15, 16 years old. I go to the lake and I didn't catch them. I'd be just as frustrated about not catching them fishing for fun as I was of when I was fishing to make a living. So fishing, and I'm assuming everybody's like that. Everybody that goes fishing has expectations of catching fish, and when you don't catch them, you start questioning why. And then, some people catch them, and you get frustrated if you're not in that group.
Right.
And so we're constantly trying to develop technology, whether it's the design of a fishing lure or a plastic worm or whatever it is. We're trying to make a magic bait. We're trying to make something that will make us effective when we're out there on the water. So it's only natural if all this technology can be developed and it's available and the technology exists to incorporate it into a product that's going to help us be more effective as anglers.
Mm-hmm. Look no further. I think a lot of that, like with the sunglasses, probably has to do with a lot of the backlash between people saying that they hate watching the tournaments because they're looking down at a screen. I said, all right, well, they're not looking at a screen anymore. It's on their face, and now they're looking out.
There's been some talk about shields and helmets and facial wear, and I think they've outlawed some of that.
Yeah.
And I'll touch on this for just 1 second, and I don't want to park here but for 1 second. Safety first. Safety, absolutely safety first. And you know, you get too many screens up there. I don't run that double stack screen personally because for me, the way I sit in my boat, it's a little too high and it can block my view. And the last thing you ever want to do is be involved in a boating accident, especially fishing the lakes that I fish in the summertime with all the personal watercraft, and a lot of them are younger kids. And you just got to be so aware and so visual. Man, I wouldn't want to be wearing glasses that have telemetry or especially mapping in front of my eyes. I would not want to be distracted. I need to really pay attention to what's in front of me for safety purposes. So that's a whole different issue that would need to be addressed. And I think that for what exists today with some of these shields and glasses that people have been wearing, the organizations, the sanctioning organizations have looked at this as, well, that could be a safety hazard as far as navigating and drawing your attention off of what's in front of you, and that's important.
Right, or like don't use them while you're driving. Like you can't have them on while you're driving because the way that it was described and like some of the visuals that I had seen, it would just be like, and it uses like motion tracking from your eyes, so it sees where you're looking, and it's just like an overlay. So it doesn't take away what you're seeing. So like if I was looking in this room and I'm looking at you, and I had these glasses on, it would just show like an outline of you or something, but I can still see.
Yeah, some of the vehicles, I've driven some vehicles lately that, you know, you look through the windshield and you're going down the road and it's got the speed limit or how fast you're going, got the speedometer on the windshield.
Windshield.
Yeah. So
I've seen this.
I'm distracted by that. I get distracted pretty easy. But if I were, you know, I can handle that, but not much more than that. I wouldn't want a whole lot of information up there. You know, I do not text and drive. I will not. People get mad at me all the time because I said, well, I text you while I was driving. I do not text and drive. I used to, and I almost had 3 or 4 or 5 accidents. And the last one, I was in the other lane trying to text back, and I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. It's not fair to the other people on the road, so I do not text and drive.
One thing that I thought was actually probably pretty cool was the hologram one in your living room. So you could literally set it up, and I guess you could like map out where you're going. So it's literally the entire topography of the lake, brush piles and all. Just imagine it, just 3D model.
See, now I like that. I do. I like that. I like being able to have the lake on a map on a computer in your living room, where you can figure out and study and not waste so much time on the water. If you could already have everything mapped out, and you can do that now. I do some of that now. And I used to do it with paper maps. I'd sit down in my hotel room before the tournament the next day, and I'm looking for a certain piece of structure, and I'd go through that map, and then I would say, okay, I'm going to fish this spot. So here's another spot that looks similar. I think it's got the structure that I'm looking for, and it's only 2 miles away. And I'd just do a little breadcrumb trail on all the different places I was going to fish. But there was a lot of guesswork in that because I didn't have all the topographical contours. And the ones that I did were so confusing on those paper maps. Most of them were navigational charts.
Sense. Yeah. Dang, imagine if you had those glasses back then. You wouldn't have had to do any of that. You wouldn't have had to do any of that.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I'll say
I don't know
that.
either.
I'm shooting in the dark. I mean, you're bringing all this up, and you told me you said, Papa, I'm going to research this, and I'm going to blow your mind. Well, you're absolutely correct. You have researched it. You've got a lot of information there, and you have definitely blown my little finite mind.
Right. Well, that was all that I could really pull up as far as some of the newest crazy technology coming to market. So a lot of it, and I can already see it now, AI is going to be implemented in the next few years. So once that's out, then it's going to be what's the next best thing past that.
Well, let's sort it out. Let's go back and sort it out. My dad liked to fish with a fly rod. My grandpa, he was very, very simple in what he did, but he was complacent, and maybe not complacent, he was content. He was happy. He was satisfied with the challenge of catching redbreast, and that's a cool fish. A redbreast is a very, very cool fish. And he fished the Okmulgee River. He used the same fishing poles I get tickled. I go to a fundraiser and somebody says, okay, we got these fishing poles. No, you don't have fishing poles. You got rods. Poles are what you tie a string to the end of it. These are guides that go to a reel. So you got a fishing rod. But my grandpa fished with fishing poles and a bobber and a small hook. And he had his own method for hooking crickets on. And he had a little flip that he could do with that cane pole and get that cricket up under a bush to catch a redbreast. And he was content with that his entire life. He never wanted to catch, he called bass trout, big old trout. He said, I hate to hook one of them big old trout, they break my line. He didn't ever want to catch one. So he was completely content with catching redbreast. And that's awesome. My dad loved to fish with a fly rod. It wasn't the most efficient way to catch a bass, for sure. But he was content because he loved the challenge and he loved the fight on that fly rod. So that was his deal forever. He didn't change. And so here we go with all this technology, and there are a group, let's just say 20% at the top tier of anglers are going to probably be in the market for all this technology. Mm-hmm. But the other 80%, they don't want it, and you don't need it. Fishing, if you're in that 80%. Now me, I may go for all this stuff. I love a challenge, and I've always said my whole philosophy in life has been 99 is not a good number if 100 is achievable. So I've always tried to push to be the best that I could be, and which is not very good, but it got me by. But so I may fall for some of this, but at the same time, I do what I like to do that I enjoy. The other day I talked about going down to Lake Murray and fishing, looking for this grass and doing all this different method from what everybody else was doing. And I came in and I hate it when people ask me, how'd you do? You know, because I'm not going to lie. Well, I caught one. You caught one? You're Hank Parker and you caught one? Well, yeah, I caught one. That's all I caught. Well, what time did you start? Well, I started before daylight. Golly, Mama, I caught 13. Well, good. Congratulations.
Good for you, rubbing it in.
Awesome.
You know what I like to say? I like to say one's better than none.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I catch none. But I did what I wanted to do, and I enjoyed it. I didn't catch but one fish. I saw fish, and I was frustrated. I don't mind telling you. I saw fish on forward-facing sonar. I couldn't get them to bite. That frustrated me. And then I would fish an area, and I'd get by, and here'd come a 5 or 6 pound bass chasing a heron behind me, just busting the surface. So I just fished right over that fish and didn't get a bite. So I know they were there. And but at the same time, I find that challenging, and I find that fun. And so that suits me. It's personalized to what I like to do. People said, you go down there, it's 100 degrees, and you go down there and fish by yourself. Why don't you take somebody with you? I know a lot of people would like to have gone with you. I feel like I'm pressured to do things differently when I've got somebody with me. I feel like I'm obligated because I have a bit of a reputation as a pretty good fisherman, so people expect me to catch them. But when I'm fishing with myself, I know me pretty good, so I don't have any expectations. I just fish for what's fun for me. And I think that's where we've got to land with all this technology that's coming. What do you enjoy doing? You know, there's people out there that watch TV and they see all these PGA guys shooting 6 under, 10 under, 15 under in a 3 or 4 day tournament. And they'll never, ever even get to par, but they still enjoy the game on their level. And that's on your level and what you enjoy. Ignore all that stuff. If it doesn't appeal to you and you think it's messing up the sport, don't worry about it. Ignore it. Do what my grandpa did. He didn't care about all the new bait cast reels. He didn't care about all the rods and the technology. It didn't faze him. He had his cane pole, and he's going out there and fish for redbreast.
Right.
And he was tickled to death every time he got to go. My dad, he didn't care. He had a split bamboo fly rod, and that was his deal. And none of all the technology did not excite him. I'd show him a rod and reel. I'd get so excited about a new rod and reel that came out on the market, man, I'd save up my money and I'd buy it. My dad just shake his head. It didn't impress him. He was happy doing what he did. And I think there's a lesson in that for all of us. With all this stuff coming out, what do you like to do? Because it's a personal deal. When you go fishing, it is for you. It's not to satisfy the masses. It's not to be competitive. And that's one thing that I have really enjoyed since I retired from competitive bass fishing, is that's not a competition. It's about having fun. It's about enjoying it. It's about fellowship. It's about a challenge. And so as we push to get better, there are limits. And we need to understand what those limits are for each one of us individually. There's some guys that they're not going to have any limitations. They're going to go for the gusto, whatever it is. And if there's a pair of glasses that's got artificial intelligence that's going to show you where to cast and how big the fish is, there's people that's going to take that.
Yeah.
But let me just tell you what I think. A little Hank Parker philosophy. Life is short. And I say that because 2 weeks ago I was 35 years old, now I'm 72 years old. Where in the world, how in the world, I'm looking in the mirror at an old man, I think, how in the world did that happen? Man, I was just a kid, and now I'm an old man. But life goes by quickly. The Bible says, today is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We got to live every day. It's a blessing from God, and we got to live every day to be glad in it. And if all this technology makes you unglad, unhappy, not satisfied, overwhelmed, miserable, don't do it. Don't go down that dirt road. Be like Ralph Parker. Get your cane pole, do what you've been doing, enjoy it and have fun. And don't make it a competition. Make it fun. And I've learned more and more and more how to do that. And people say, well, now wait a minute, I see your boat, you got all this technology. I do, and I like it because I like the challenge. And I've confessed from the day one, I'm not good at it. I am getting better. I'm getting a lot better than where I was when I started. But I'm not in the league with most people that are so good with all this stuff. But I think it's a challenge, and I like a challenge. When I went fishing at Lake Murray the other day, I could have ground it out. I could have started out throwing some topwater. They were catching fish around docks. I could have caught some fish, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to get out in that deeper water, find that grass on those hilltops, and figure out how to catch those fish. And I wasn't able to figure it out, but I found some places that look pretty sporty. And I think as time goes on, I'll build on that, and I'll figure out how to catch some out there.
Right.
But that's what I wanted to do. And I could have ground it out. And there's no doubt in my mind I could have ground it out. I could have got up there and threw some topwater early on some of those shallow water flat points that come up on the main channel, and I could have got on some boat docks in the 3/4 of the way back in the bays. And I could have thrown a sinking worm and skipped like Andy Montgomery up under those docks. And I believe that I could have caught 8 or 10 or 12 fish. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. I did what I wanted to do. I did not catch them. And I don't have to answer to anybody about it. I didn't have to go to the scales. I didn't have to be humiliated.
Well, that's part of the thing, though, too, is that a lot of people, they see other people online and then they feel a need to insert themselves and control what somebody else does. Just because somebody doesn't do it your way doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just how they want to do it, and let them do it. That's the joy of being free.
Well,
let them do their own thing.
I think now more than ever, we're going to be forced to take that position. We're going to be forced with all this technology, all the expense involved. I think we're going to be forced to face the facts that, hey, this is not what I want.
Right.
This is not how I want to do it. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to enjoy it. I've been enjoying it for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40, however many years you've been fishing and you've enjoyed fishing. Stick with it.
Right.
Stick with it. The technology is helping. It's helping you find fish. And I've learned so much with forward-facing sonar. I've learned so much about what I thought. You talked about the fish in these glasses. You're going to be able to look and you're going to see where the fish was and where
like Bass just moved.
Trailing him.
Right.
It trails where he came from and where he went. I've always felt like if I'm fishing a stump row, that those fish are on that particular stump, and that's where they're at for a long period of time, hours. It's not like they just move up and leave and come back and move. They're there. And so you pitch on that stump, and he's there, and he's going to bite. But when I first got forward-facing sonar, I was fishing up on Lake Norman, and I was fishing boat ramps. And I saw off to the side as I was coming up this boat ramp, I saw a fish on a stump. So I cast to that stump, and that fish left. Not because I cast to it, I don't believe. He just left. And I don't know where he went.
To the next stump.
Well, and I started looking for him. Just because I was curious. I want to know what happened. Why did he leave that stump? At first, I thought maybe I spooked him with the way I cast, but then I thought, no, there's no way. And so I looked, and sure enough, he was going over toward a boat dock that was about 50, maybe 45, 50 yards away.
I said maybe he didn't see any bait fish. I'm like, well, I'm going to go check my other spot over here.
Yeah, or whatever. Hey, that's logical. So I followed him, and he parked over there on the corner of that dock. And so I'm getting my boat in position to try to make a pitch to him on the corner, and I needed a different bait than what I had. I had a little crankbait, so I needed to pick up a jig and where I needed to pitch it to see if I couldn't catch him by that dock. And by the time I got my rods and everything, he was gone.
Yeah.
Where in the world did he go? And so I started looking for him, and he went back to that stump. So I turned around, and I go back, and I get back to that stump, and he's gone again.
That's funny.
Make a long story short, that went on. We played cat and mouse for about 20 minutes, and I caught him off that boat dock on the jig.
So he just kept going back and forth.
Yeah, he didn't sit still. But all my life, I've always felt like if that fish was on that stump, that was his hangout. But no. And I've learned that over and over and over again. Fish move way more than I ever dreamt. So I've learned a lot. And knowledge helps you be more prepared to be more effective on catching fish. So all this stuff is going to help you catch more fish. But if it's not fun, it's not worth it. And today is the day the Lord has made. Let's be glad in it. Let's don't put ourselves in a position to be unhappy because that's what the masses are doing, or because that technology is available, if it's messing you up. And people criticize other people. Forget other people. And let's get all the controversial stuff out of the way. I don't like all this. I don't like artificial intelligence. First, it makes me nervous that it's not going to be good for our country. It's not going to be good for the world, because you're not going to know truth from fake. I mean, you're not going to know. So that makes me nervous. I don't like that. I don't know where it fits in fishing. I don't know where all this technology is going. Where we are right now, I'm okay. We got some crazy technology that's good. It's helping me catch fish. I'm okay with it. Where it goes from here, I don't know if I'm going to be okay or not. I may just fall right back in there like my grandpa did and do exactly what I've been doing to the rest of my life, which probably won't be very long. I'm in the autumn. But nevertheless, find my little niche and be happy with it. So if all this technology is overwhelming, forget about it. Just do what you like to do and make it a personal thing and enjoy fishing.
All right. Well, with all that being said, you can go check out all of our links down in that description below. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.
That'd be great. Hey, I want to thank Liquimali and Mossy Oak for their support, helping us put this podcast together. And I really appreciate you guys for all listening and watching. And we'll come up with something next week, and I know it's going to be fun for me. Hope it will be for you. So thanks for being with us. God bless you. We'll see you next week.